Good day, I am Jian Rojas, and in this presentation entitled Sunchem Dilemma, when global production becomes complicated, we will discuss about Sunchem, a global manufacturer of printing inks. This company operates five manufacturing plants worldwide across different continents. The products are sold in major international markets, and each plant has different production costs and capacities. Their products must be shipped across regions, adding transportation costs. And the key decision for this is how to produce and distribute ink at the lowest possible total cost. So the five key locations or continents: North America, South America, Europe, and Japan is a country. So Japan is a major location and the rest of Asia. So we have this five major locations, and each of these locations have a country that will produce for it. And in the upcoming slides, we will show how these countries, including Japan, will supply to their major market, or as well as to Japan. Japan will supply for their own country. So the plant locations are in United States, and United States will cater North America. Germany will cater the Europe region. Japan will cater Japan. Brazil will cater South America, and India will cater the rest of Asia. So these five plants will serve as the major plants that will cover each market. And with this as the given options for each continent or Japan as their own country, the prices that I will show are based on their currency, the currencies for these countries. The plant locations are strategic considering that each continent has their own country that will produce for them. But we must remember that each plant has a different production cost, a different currency, and a different maximum capacity. So this is what makes the cost comparison difficult and risky. And because each plant has a maximum capacity, a cheap plant cannot supply everyone, and production must be split across locations. So before proceeding with the data, what are the conditions and the rules for Sunchem manufacturing? The first one is if the exchange rates are expected and no plant can run below 50% of capacity, how much should each plant produce and which markets should each plant supply? The next one is if there are no limits on the amount produced in a plant, how much should each plant produce? And can adding 10 tons of capacity in any plant reduce costs? The last one is how should Sunchem account for the fact that exchange rates fluctuate over time? So these are the given data, and following the first condition that no plant no plant can run below 50% capacity, and we will answer how much should each plant produce and which markets should each plant supply. Given this data, we can see that it is best if each of the countries under their respective continents will supply it. So for North America, US should supply it. Germany, for Europe, Germany should supply it. For Japan, then Japan will supply it. For South America, Brazil should supply it. And for the rest of Asia, it is best if India will supply this continent. So the decisions that we will make are based all on the data given. So for the North America, it is best if United States will still serve them or deliver to them because the US plant has lowest transportation cost to North America, and shipping from Europe or Asia to North America is significantly much more expensive because of the transportation cost. And despite the cost of 10,000 per tons, lower transport makes United States still competitive in their continent. And the fact here is that short distance offsets higher production cost. The To break down the data, the production cost per ton in US dollar is $10,000, and the transportation cost is just 60 it is just $60,000. So it is best to just get the ink from the United States to the United States factory. And we should move on to South America. For the South Americas, it is best if Brazil will deliver to them or serve this continent because Brazil has the lowest production cost among all plants, only costing 7,300 dollars if we convert it to US dollars. And the transportation cost to South America is minimal compared to other plants since Brazil is already located in South America. Other plants face high shipping costs going into South America. And the fact here is that lower production cost and it is the closest location. So Brazil is still the dominant supplier in the South Americas. For the continent of Europe, we can see that Germany is the best choice for them because Germany is second to the lowest in total production costs when we convert it to US dollars, amounting to $7,530. The transportation cost within Europe is very low Germany is considering that Germany is in Europe already. And Germany also has the largest capacity, allowing it to supply large demand across all Europe. So the fact here is that Germany has low cost, large capacity, and the proximity makes Germany an ideal option for the continent of Europe. So let's talk about Japan and why Japan is the best for their country to be the main supplier or to deliver to Japan. Well, Japan has the highest production cost of $16,700 if we convert it. But importing ink into Japan from other regions has a very high shipping cost. So it is not a viable option for the Japanese market. And Japan's plant has a mandatory minimum production, making local supply necessary. So the fact here is that Japan has high cost, but shipping barriers make the local production still unavoidable, even if the production cost per ton is almost double for the other countries and such as Germany and Brazil. Not almost, but really doubled and even more. So for the rest of Asia, it is best if they choose India as the main supplier. India's production cost is just between the cheaper options and the US option. And let's not talk about Japan because that is a much more expensive option. So the transportation cost to Asian markets is much lower than from Europe or the US. So India is already the most viable option for the rest of Asia. Germany and the US incur high shipping costs to Asia, so that's already hard. It's already hard for the rest of Asia to get the deliveries from or choose the United States and Germany as their supplier. So the fact here is that in Asia, balanced cost and the location favors India to be their main supplier. So let's answer the second constraint or the second condition, that if there are no limits on the amount produced in a plant, how much should each plant produce? As we can see on the table, the the production are just split or divided into the two cheapest markets, Brazil and Germany, since Japan, India, United States are much expensive, much expensive compared to the two, the India, United States, and Japan plants are all shut down. So now Germany produces a large share and it supplies Europe and nearby regions. The Brazil produces a large share and it supplies South America and other regions. Now United States does not produce anything, so 0 tons for them, and India also has 0 tons, as well as Japan. So let's do a bit of a breakdown on why Germany and Brazil are the chosen plants to still operate. And it is because of they have the lowest production among the five, and they have competitive shipping costs. So the facts here is that they are the cheaper producer, so it carries most of the load. And as for the German plant, it has a large capacity. So it's low cost and large capacity, and so that makes it ideal to be a global supplier. So let's follow the third condition of, can adding 10 tons of capacity in any plant reduce costs? Well, the answer is yes, and with this data given, we will try to break it I will try to break it down on why adding 10 more tons is beneficial and it will lower cost in total. Because Germany and Brazil has lower production cost compared to Japan, United States, and India. Let's say that we will deduct 10 tons from Japan that has $16,000 per tons. So that amount is already subtracted by around $9,000 because 7,000 and 16,000. So this is a viable option. Adding 10 more tons to Brazil or Germany is very beneficial, and the total cost goes down. So in the data that we provided, we added 10 more tons in the Brazil plant. And this is because Brazil has the lowest production cost. Brazil is already heavily used, and extra Brazil output replaces expensive production from other countries such as United States, India. And the transportation costs stay competitive. So Brazil serves a high demand region and no new constraints are violated. This just means that adding 10 tons in Brazil lowers total cost because Brazil has the lowest production cost. It is already fully utilized, and every extra ton replaces more expensive production from other countries such as United States or India without increasing the transportation costs, because the transportation costs are already at a fixed price, but we managed to produce extra tons with less amounts when we do it in the Brazil plant. So the last condition or the last question in this problem is how should Sunchem account for the fact that exchange rates fluctuate over time? So Sunchem should not really rely on one best plant, and they should keep production flexible, diversify their production across currencies, and they should also review exchange rates regularly. So why they should not rely on one best plan is because exchange rates are fluctuating. And the data that we showed, Germany and Brazil look the cheapest today. So a currency shift could quickly change that. And since the plants are relying on where they are located, so a weak currency could really break down the system for Sunchem. And why they should keep production flexible, it increases their output in another country and it reduces output in a suddenly expensive location. So this avoids long-term commitments to one plant, and well, the flexibility reduces exposure to currency shocks. They are not easily affected. So why they need to diversify across currencies, spread production across dollar-based, euro-based, emerging market currencies, and this is because currency risk is reduced through diversification. And they should also review exchange rates regularly because, well, this is the only way to so that they can update themselves in the exchange rates because it is very frequent. And as we mentioned, it fluctuates over time. And small changes can have large cost impacts if not regularly checked. In conclusion, Suncam's situation shows that running a global company is not a simple task. It is not as simple as making products in one place, and the company must think about where it is cheapest to produce, how far products need to travel, and the certain restrictions or the certain options that each factory can only handle. By using nearby and low cost factories, Sunchem can save money while still supplying every region. And in the end, making smart and flexible choices helps the company work better and avoid unnecessary costs. Once again, I am Jian Rojas, and thank you for listening.